evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Rock and Roll Union Streamcast number 4. Guys, thank you so much for being with us, but a quick shout out to our sponsors, Rosenfeld Dental Associates, located 1095 Inman Avenue. Go rock your smile with the Rock Doc. David Rosenfeld, nominated one of the top dentists of 2021. Make sure you get out there. You see those guys. If you mention Rock and Roll Union or you mention me, CT, he'll hook you up with a great discount, so make sure that you guys do that. As you can see, I am by myself this evening. Our co-host, Kat, she's down with not feeling well, so big shout out to my co-host. And tonight we got a great show for you guys. We got George Pond of Disciples of Verity. He'll be with us first, and then following him, we'll be talking to Mike Lepond of Disciples X. Not Disciples X. What am I thinking? Symphony X. I'm thinking of Disciples of Verity. But guys, it is my honor and privilege to welcome George Pond to the show. George, thank you so much for being here, bro.
What's up, CT? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How you been, man?
Good. Just hanging in there, Busy. Busy.
How's the whole thing? Any luck coming up out of this pandemic thing? I mean, you guys, unfortunately, Disciples of Verity touched off at the wrong year. And any luck on climbing out of that?
I mean, yeah. It seems like everybody's climbing it out of it at this point. Things are starting to cool down, I think, with it. Obviously, they're letting up on a lot of things, with masks and mandates and all that. And so it seems like the world needs to climb out of it. I mean, who are we? You know what I mean? We're just a band, so everybody's affected by it. So, let's just hopefully we can all climb out of this together and get back to, doing some of the things that we love, like going to live shows and concerts and stuff like that,
I know that you guys had a gig last month, and was it Indiana?
We had several. We did like an East Midwest tour. We did Illinois and Michigan and Connecticut and Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. So we did a bunch of shows. We had like a 10-day run that we did. Definitely different at probably the worst possible time that you could do it, in the middle of winter, in the middle of this crazy pandemic. So, it was, like I said, it was interesting, but the shows were good regardless. Obviously, people are still scared, and the turnouts weren't as good, and people would buy tickets and just not show up to shows, and stuff like that. And probably every single show that we played, at least one of the opening acts canceled. I mean, every single show.
Wow.
So it's to be expected, right? We knew what we were getting into. We knew what we were doing. We could have put it off like everybody else does, and did, during this time. But we didn't. We wanted to tough it out and do it anyway, and I'm glad we did. But like you said, Disciples kind of came out in the worst possible time of existence, So here we are.
Guys, I made a big error and didn't mention our producer and our person behind the scenes, Panda. A big shout out to her. Much thank you and much love to my wife, who is helping me handle this show. But I wanted to ask you, George, because you hemmed vocal ability for Negative Sky. Am I right on that one?
No, I never sang in any band. Yeah, you don't want to hear that. You don't.
But you were with Negative Sky before.
I was with Negative Sky before, yes. Negative Sky is always a thing that will come back periodically. You know what I mean? Not to say that we're very active at this point, but I'm pretty busy with the things going on with Disciples, and like I actually have a writing session going on. You may see the guys come down in a few minutes, but we're writing the next record right now. So I've been seriously busy, like just, besides, doing this, I produce bands and, and I record
Wow.
people and stuff like that. So, I'm a pretty busy dude. You know what I
Speaking
mean?
about producing, and I think you caught our shout out to our sponsor in the beginning with Dave Rosenfeld. I know you're doing some stuff with Tonal Crush, and
Yeah.
how's that going? I know Sergeant R has had the one song Sergeant R has had so many different changes to the song.
Yeah.
Have you seen any other songs that you could touch base on that like you've seen warp change, and how's the whole thing been as far as Tonal is concerned?
Well, I mean, Dave and I have to get together. We've been meaning to, and again, the pandemic got in the way, and then I was touring and stuff. So I haven't had a chance to get back into producing some more things for Tonal Crush. It's definitely going to happen, and we were in the works with it. But again, I have this record I have to complete. So I've been quite busy, with disciples and trying to get these things worked out, and there's lots of things going on that I can't really touch on at this moment, but as soon as that calms down, which is going to be, in a relatively short time, I had another record that I had to finish up, and for this girl down in Florida, and I was working with another thing that I do called Swim the Current, which is, another multi person band, which when I say that, I mean like there's a lot of special guests and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So, sorry, hit the space bar. So, I've been so busy lately that I will get to Tonal Crush, and Dave and I, like I said, we have spoke about it, and he's got some things that he has in mind. So we just have to sit down and do it, and it's a matter of not if but when. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Right.
Now, it's I know that you're also endorsed by Spectre. Am I right?
Yeah. Yep.
And how is Spectre? How is working for Spectre and or being endorsed by Spectre rather? And how's that situation?
Well, I mean, those guys have been great. I mean, they custom made me this this nice bass over here. I'll just show it to you. The American custom here.
Wow.
With EMGXs, and the it's got some DR strings in it, which is another company that endorses me, and it also has the dark glass tone capsules in it. So
Nice.
This thing really growls, and they did an amazing job. If you could notice that they had custom inlays over at the New York shop for me. So beautiful bass, one of two that I got from Spectre so far, but I'm sure I want plenty more. It's just I haven't got to it yet. Anyway, I don't need them at the second, but
I hear you.
great company, great basses, and yeah, they sound amazing. And you know what? To be honest with you, if I never endorse anything I don't use. You know what I mean? If I didn't use it, I really I wouldn't even bother. It just so happens that they asked me, so I was like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? Because I do play them. They sound great. And Spectre has been one of the staples of rock and heavy metal music. A lot of people just use them to record, and because they sound amazing. And, well, enough of that.
Now, how old were you when you first started playing?
Well, I was like, I guess when I started kind of playing, I was more around the age of 13, but I didn't really start picking it up seriously until I was like 17. I mean, my brother played guitar, my dad was a guitarist, and I wanted to play with those guys. I wanted to just be able to play with my family, per
Right.
se, you know what I mean, and just pull it out and start jamming like they do. And so, I got to learn by proxy, like just by listening and hearing these guys play. So, they're a huge influence in me playing music, and then I don't know, for some reason, like all my friends and everything, they're all musicians,
I hear you.
So I just surrounded myself with a lot of musicians, and you know, I guess that's the thing, right? Skiers want to be around skiers, fishermen want to be around fishermen. I guess I just wanted to be around musicians all the time.
Now, as far as your family playing, any family jam sessions, do you ever do you get the chance to play with your brother at all?
I really don't anymore. I used to when I was younger. We used to play all the time. We played in bands together, and I would always look for the opportunity to play with my older brother for sure. Um, it's just that he plays a different style of music than I do. He's a huge
Gotcha.
blues player. Um, Ray is a great guitar player. He knows. I can't even tell you how many covers that guy knows. He probably knows about 3,000 covers. He could just sit there and keep whipping them out all night long and play for hours. And he's a great guitar player. But yeah, he does like a cover band type thing. He plays in local bars, and but I don't really get a chance to see him all that often because he's kind of far away.
Guys, I apologize for I'm not sure where the feedback's coming from, but I hear a little bit of a feedback.
You know what?
Now,
That might be on my end. Is that my end? Hold on a second. Let me see. How's that?
there it is. Yeah.
Holy shit. Sorry.
Oh, no
Goddamn.
worries.
That's the goddamn H delay from Waves. Fix that shit, guys. Sorry.
So, oh, no worries. But now growing up and your father being a guitar player, what kind of music was playing around the household growing up?
My dad, he kind of listened to a lot of like Jim Croce. He would play, and Eddie Money, and things like that. Some country music, and he was, and then like Kiss, and so I mean he was all over the spectrum. He just wanted to play a song he could sing to. He's actually a pretty good singer too. I didn't inherit that trait from him, which I
Now,
did.
at what point did you find like metal and say, yeah, this is really what I want to be playing?
Well, I mean, I guess I just, a lot of my friends were starting to play metal and listening to metal, and like I said, I was surrounded by musicians, and most of my friends that played guitar, they were metalheads, and I just started to gravitate towards what my friends were doing, and we just started going to shows, and I used to be, at the Birch Hill all the time or something, like every Friday night. That was cool back then because I feel like, there were so many more clubs, obviously, in New Jersey
Right.
at the time. But, obviously you're a local guy, right? So,
Absolutely.
um, you remember the Birch Hill, and the Birch Hill, like every single Friday and Saturday night, it didn't matter who was playing. We just wanted to go. You know what I mean? We
Right.
were just there all the time. And, as they started closing clubs, it gets harder and harder for, I think people now, but to not get too far off the subject, you know, I don't know. Like I said, it just was a natural thing for me to get into metal. Everybody was doing. I first started listening to more, like I started playing bass, and I was more into funk and jazz, and that kind of thing. Jazz music just really it fueled me. You know what I mean? And believe it or not, like I was a huge Living Color fan back then because they took the metal and the funk and the
Yeah,
jazz and they
absolutely.
mixed it together and they came out with their own sound, and the musicianship was top notch, and I gravitated towards more musicians that were doing crazy stuff, you know what I mean, out of the ordinary. And for some reason, I wanted to be that guy,
I wanted to ask you, like, as far as the rest of the guys and disciples, do you go back a ways with any of the guys, or like, how did you guys all meet?
Oh yeah, Mark and I are we go back way back. So we were actually in a band called Second Skin together, which still exists, just not with me in it. But we played in a band called Backhand together. Like I went to high school with Mark, so it was like when I started, Disciples, it was just really me and another guy, and I really didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? This is just giving you a little bit of history to answer your question. So I didn't really know, it wasn't like a band that, was already starting to write material, you know what I mean? I started the band on my own, writing material on my own. I didn't know what I was doing with it. And then I just, I ran into Corey Glover, not ran into him, but we were together at NAMM show in California, and we actually had an Airbnb, right? And this is when there was a huge snowstorm going back in New Jersey and then on the East Coast, and they pretty much canceled all the flights coming back. So we were stuck there for, after the NAMM show for like 3 days. They canceled all the flights. We couldn't even get back to New Jersey.
I think I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, being stuck together, we were just, showing each other stuff. Like he was showing me the new Living Color record and tracks off of that. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yo, dude, it'd be great if you could sing like a song with me. You know what I mean? And he was like, okay, cool. I'll sing a song. And then, I think maybe a month or so went by, and I called him up, and he came down and he sang the one song, and then he just, he kept showing up every time I called him. So I don't even know how it happened with Corey. It just, I suckered him. I don't know. I kept roofing his drink and put him in an Uber, and he would wake up here. But no, he just kept coming down, and he really, was excited about doing it, which for me, was like the biggest thrill in the world to have Corey Glover love my material enough to be on it,
Right.
So that being said, we started working on a few songs, and I had been working with Corey Pierce for a little bit with the Negative Sky stuff. He was producing a Negative Sky record for me in New York City. He was working at this studio in New York City where the owner of the studio saw us at the CMJ Fest, and he wanted to produce Negative Sky and put the record out. So he hired Corey Pierce as a producer to produce a record, or co-produced a record along with John Keita. But that being said, we developed a relationship together over a year's time of him producing Negative Sky. And so when I started doing this project, Corey wasn't really doing God Forbid anymore. He was, kind of in limbo, hanging out, not really even playing much. And I tried to get him involved in doing my stuff. So I was like, hey, dude, I got this thing, why don't you come help me produce it? And then it was like, yo, why don't you play a couple tracks on it? And then again, it transpired. It wasn't like, we had this band and I just, we kind of put it together in pieces, you know what I mean? Which was really cool. So, those guys were in, and then Mark, he was just somebody that I've been friends with forever. I've played with him. I've toured with him. I know who he is. I know what he does. So I wanted him involved because he's my friend, first of all. Second of all, when you're touring with somebody, it helps to have people that you like.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to be stuck with them for a while. You know what I mean? On the road and writing. And if you're working with, like, obviously, if you got a day job and you hate your coworkers, you're going to hate your job.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, I tried to pick some dudes that I wouldn't mind being stuck with and playing with and writing with and and just having a good time, and and that are also good musicians, you know what I mean? So those things are always hard to find if you're just like, getting an ad in the paper and it's like you don't really find out who somebody is until after a year you've been with them.
Right.
It's like, it's like, oh my God, this guy's a monster, you know what I mean? So I did want to put it together with some people that I knew, and then we originally had another guitar player, Danny Puma from Negative Sky, and Danny had some other opportunities to do some things in California, so he left, and then Mark was playing with Zach, our current lead guitar player, and Zach just fit in. You know what I mean? He just came down. He's just the greatest guy. You know what I mean? He's super mellow, and he's just a monster player. And some of the things that the lead guitar player is expected to do in this band are pretty difficult because you have some monster guitar players that played solos on the record, because we have a whole bunch of special guests on the record, right? Morgan Roses, it plays on one from Seven Dust, and we got Phil Demo from Machine Head Violence on one track,
Wow.
and we got Jeff Loomis on there from Arch Enemy, and so to ask somebody to come in and play a Jeff Loomis solo, it's not an easy task, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy is pretty phenomenal, and so that's pretty much how the band came together. And now at this point, we're one big happy family, writing music and ready to put the next record out, or at least we're in the middle of writing the next record. I want to say we're a little bit more than middle, maybe towards the end.
Any hope for a release date, or are you guys trying to get it out by a certain time?
I mean, we kind of have a goal in mind for us, and then there is definitely going to be dates. I don't want to say anything about what's exactly happening, but let's just say we should have some news within the next week and a half.
Awesome.
And so then I'll enlighten everybody onto, if you follow our social media or my social media per se, or, anybody's social media that's in a band, you'll definitely hear about it first,
Now, how's the camaraderie in the band? Do you guys hang out or do you guys just get together for rehearsals, or how's that work for you guys? I know everybody's probably busy, home lives and things along that line, but do you guys get a chance to hang out at all?
Well, I mean, we do when we get the chance to, but geographically, we're not exactly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Close proximity within 20 minutes of each other or 15 minutes of each other. The closest guy to me is 40 minutes away, and then the farthest is 2.5 hours. So, I guess it's not impossible, but when we get a chance, we do. Like, if it's, if there's an event or something that we could all go to, we will. You know what I mean?
Right.
We go to shows together, or somebody's birthday party, or But for the most part, like during the week or during the COVID thing, it's been a little difficult too, because a lot of events aren't happening. The things aren't, you know what I mean? It's like you can't just easily go to a lot of things that have been canceled or whatever. Maybe it's the protocol, or that's happening, or whatever. But the answer is yes, we do hang out, but not as often as I would like.
Yeah, I hear
you. But yeah, we got a camaraderie in the head. Like Mark and I grew up together. Corey and I, we bullshit all the time and laugh and have a good time. We'd text each other bullshit about the freaking Super Bowl or whatever. But.
Now, I was told by Dave Rosenfeld that to spark your interest a little bit, to ask you about your car hobby.
My car hobby?
Yeah. He said you're another guy that's totally into his cars.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually have a 2012 Dodge Challenger. and I love to polish it and wax it and let it sit in the driveway pretty. So yeah, buy shiny parts for it, you know.
I hear you.
But I just sold it last weekend, and he doesn't even know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep, I
what
did.
brought that decision?
Well, I mean, you know, I've owned the car for like 4 years now, and I put about 6,000 miles on it, and it was really pretty and shiny. And it was a really nice lawn ornament,
I hear you.
you know.
You
And
didn't take
so,
it out as much as you would have liked to.
right. And then, you know, at that point, it's like, okay, you know, here's $25,000 sitting in your driveway, not doing anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it's kind of like at the height of the, you know, the car craziness with used cars being a really good price. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I could get rid of
Absolutely.
it and make some money back. You know, but I mean, I love the car. I just couldn't see keeping it anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
Know? I got more bases to buy. You know, more software.
Not cheap being a musician, man.
Yeah, no, not at all. You know.
So
And I got a beautiful truck, so I just put the money into that. You know, I drive
we're in
that
the
every day.
first we're in the first little bit of 2022. Where do you see Disciples at the end of this year?
Oh, I see a lot coming because I know there's a lot coming. I believe that we will have a new record out, and I know that we have a new single that has already got a new video already done, waiting to go out.
Awesome.
So I know that there's a lot of things happening, and I believe, you know, there's a lot of things. I want to tell you so bad, CT, but I can't.
I hear you. Now, as far as any hopes on maybe traveling overseas a little bit, doing a little touring over there, has that been brought up at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been talked about. You know, I see that there is a lot of demand. You know, we have a lot of fans in other countries that really would love to have us come there. We have talked about it. You know, things are always contingent on, you know, Corey's schedule. He's in the middle of doing a Living Color record right now, besides this record. And so we just have to see when things work out right. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say we have any plans to do that at this point because I'd be lying. I would say that it's been talked about, and we're going to see what kind of opportunities are out there. You also got to take into consideration, CT, that everybody does not follow the American, you know, process of COVID here. You know, countries are still locked down. Things are still happening in those countries. Some countries decided to say F you and open everything back up, and some countries are still locked down.
Yeah.
You know, to the point, you know, so everything's not back to normal yet.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to take that in stride, you know. I see a lot of tours have been booked, European, but they've been booked the last 2 years and canceled. So
yeah, I was very surprised. I was very surprised to see that the Monsters of Rock cruise got out last week. Like, I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of things. I mean, you know, also what the other rock cruise, or what is that called? Shipwrecked. That's the, you know, that got out there. So I mean, you know, things. I was surprised to see that one happen too, because that was in the middle of January as well. But look, there's going to be a certain amount of people, especially on a cruise like that. Those cruises always sell out every year, all the time.
Yep.
So, and there's always a line of people that still want to get to the cruise but can't. So, I don't know whether they were sold out this time, but probably close to it, because let's face it, there's a certain amount of people out here that just don't care about the mandates. They don't care about the vaccination or the masks, or even trying to be safe. They just want They want to enjoy their life,
Yeah.
and you can, I mean, me personally, and, I can't speak for everybody in any band or anything I'm associated with, but I don't blame them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, I understand that there's a certain responsibility that everybody has to have towards being safe. But at the same time, I feel like I can't live my life scared or, what are we
I
supposed to
hear you.
do? Sit in our houses and wait, for the world to be okay again? I don't know. I mean, I won't elaborate any other personal thoughts on that, to be honest with you, except that I don't blame people, you know.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for doing either. I'm not here to tell anybody how to be safe, and I'm
Right.
not going to tell them not to go to a show.
Absolutely.
People have to live their life, and the people that are running those shows and playing the shows have to make a living.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Now the last topic I wanted to bring up with you, and we're running out of time quick, is metal has seemed to change a little bit. As far as some of the newer bands coming in, bands like Amon Amarth or Cannibal Corpse, or some of the other bands that are coming in. I read
Wait a
somewhere.
second. Wait a second. Can I just stop you there? Did you
Sure.
just say? Did you just say Cannibal Corpse was coming in?
Well, I'm not saying. I'm saying.
I mean, 30 years ago they came in.
Yeah, but they're you could still kind of classify them as towards the newer end of metal. I mean, they're not like your Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or even your Metallicas. They're still, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're fairly in that new generation that came out.
Well,
What
I mean,
what
go
is
ahead,
your take
continue.
on like the new metal or the like? Do you think it's changing? Do you think like there's a new flavor to it now?
Well, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of new metal out there. I wouldn't consider Cannibal Corpse or Amon Amarth, honestly, in my opinion, anything new, right? Those, Amon
Right.
Amarth is probably 15 years old, and they've probably been around for 20 years. And Cannibal Corpse has probably been around 30 years. So, there's a lot of newer bands out there that I do like to listen to, and I feel like there's a lot of a new metal worth listening to. I mean, I'm a big fan of deathcore. Like I like a lot of deathcore stuff. And I like a lot of the newer metal. Bands like Wage War or Fever 333 or bands like Fit for an Autopsy or there's a lot of newer bands out there that I really do appreciate. I mean, um, my opinion is that everything evolves. You know, um, there's good and old and good and new. You know, there's older bands that are putting out some quality stuff, and there's some newer bands that are putting up some quality stuff. I mean, I'm a fan of it all. If you look at my playlist, it's everybody from I like hip hop, I like country, I like metal, I like good music. I like hard rock music. So I mean, I think that during this pandemic is a good opportunity, or even when there's not a lot of shows for people to discover new music by checking out some of these playlists
Oh yeah.
listening to some stuff and getting an opportunity to broaden your horizons when it comes to music. I mean, there's a lot of great things out there.
Now, who would you say is one of your favorite newer bands or artists?
You see, I listen to a lot of things, and it might not be for, you know, there's various reasons why I listen to bands, right?
Right.
It might be production, it might be a vocal, it might be, the style of music, it might be so I really can't say I have any one particular band that is my favorite of now. I mean, I guess if it had to be a band, it would be Wage War or Architects or, these are some of the newer bands that I listen to.
Now, you brought up that you like listening to hip hop. Any thoughts on the halftime Super Bowl? There was so much conversation around that it's insane.
Well, those particular acts were very popular when I was growing up, right? So to see some of them, I think it could have been better. There was better produced halftime shows. So in my opinion, like even halftime shows at a Super Bowl are not usually playing an entire song, or you're not watching a concert. You're watching
It's like a sample almost.
it's like a sampler, thing with dancing and stuff like that. So to me, it's more about the show than the artist singing.
Yeah.
It's obviously lip sync. So, it has nothing to do with their, oh wow, they were so talented and they were, great at doing it. Look, it's gotta be a spectacular show, I wanted to see those cars hopping, and I didn't want to see some white house there. I wanted to see the dancers in the, synchronized and, maybe. So to me, probably my favorite part of it was Kendrick Lamar because of the view of all the dancers and the way that happened. I did watch it. I want to say that, for that fact, I didn't want to really see Snoop up there by himself doing that same dance he does, for 30 years. He got caught smoking weed before it. That's weird, right?
I mean, come on.
Smoking weed.
That was kind of like the only Super Bowl I wanted to be a part of.
I got news for you guys. Water is wet.
Yeah, right.
Snoop smokes weed.
Yeah, bottom line. And it's legal there, so and
it's legal. So, I mean, it's not the family show that the Super Bowl usually has, right?
Right.
I mean, let's face it. You got guys who went to jail and were gangsters, and they're admitted, Crips and whatever, Bloods. I don't know, whatever gang affiliation, but they're admitted gangsters that did jail time and smoke a lot of weed and. So it wasn't the normal, which is cool that they're going outside of the lines. I would personally love to see Metallica host.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, come on. We're talking about you're taking some of the biggest country artists have done it, some of the biggest hip hop artists, now some of the biggest.
Can you imagine if we had like the metal equivalent of what they just had? And you had like Metallica, maybe some Iron Maiden there, and like, you imagine how incredible that would be.
Why not? These, look, at a certain point in life, right? Metallica was like the hardest band out there, right? And they were like, your parents were like, oh my God, they're listening to that heavy metal crap, right? Now you could go into an elevator and hear Metallica.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like at certain points in your life, things that weren't acceptable before, whoever thought weed was going to be illegal? Did you?
Yeah, right. No, not in a million years.
No. I mean, when they legalized it in California, I guess we all knew it was coming at some point, but
Well, yeah, I think once it became legal in Colorado, it was kind of like eyebrow raising a little bit. But
yeah, because they did it recreational and you didn't need the weed card no more. I mean, California was the first to do it, but
I didn't think it was going to catch fire the way that it did.
No, I didn't either. But like I was trying to say, I mean, like why not? Why not have Metallica? They're still selling out arenas. They're the biggest heavy metal band in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Why wouldn't you have them on? What's the reason? Are they too edgy? Well, I mean, Snoop Dogg and his weed habit isn't edgy. Dr. Dre and his, fuck the police. That's not.
Well,
edgy.
I mean, the other thing you got to think about though is with Jay-Z being in charge of all that, it kind of you kind of start looking at that as well. Like Jay-Z is responsible for putting the whole halftime Super Bowl show together. So what's the chances of him doing that? Putting some rock out there or some metal out there.
Oh, he's the one who's in charge? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Jay-Z's in charge. NFL signed a multi-million-dollar contract with him, I think about 3 years ago. So
then,
yeah, the
then
weekend
we're
was
screwed.
his, and
Then we're screwed.
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I think that should be an unbiased person. So you're not going to see any more country, or we're just going to see pop and hip hop, I guess. I don't know. I mean, maybe Jay Deal will, come out of his shell and maybe, maybe he'll do it. I don't know. We'll have to see, I guess.
But my last question for you, George, before we go, is where can people find your social media pages, Disciples' social media pages, the music, all that? How can people get into that loop?
Well, I mean, basically, Disciples is available anywhere, right? So if you just type in Disciples of Verity on Google, you can reach all of our pages. There's too many to list, in my opinion. But our Twitter, I mean, is at Disciples of Verity Grooves, so that might be different. And then the Instagram is at Disciples of Verity Grooves. So, but besides that, if you just type it into Google, you can get it, Spotify or iTunes, or the multiple playlists that were on Deezer, whatever, Bandcamp. I don't know. Look it up in the Google machine there, and I'm sure you'll be able to get a link that might be sufficient.
Any upcoming Disciples show that you're able to promote?
I am not.
Okay.
We have some stuff that we have to make up, and we have some other things that we're talking about, but everything's just talk at this point, so I can't really elaborate on it.
Well, keep me up to date, bro. I really want to follow everything that you guys are doing, man. I'm excited to see you guys getting out there.
Thank you so much, CT, for your time, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks, George. Talk to you soon.
Bud. Bye.
See you. All right, guys. So that was George Pond. Make sure you check out Disciples of Verity. Their lead singer, Corey Glover of Living Color fame, guys. Really great band. Their music is dynamite. Unfortunately, they came out at the wrong time, man. With COVID going on and everything else, the release of their debut came out in 2020. We all remember how 2020 went down. But a lot of optimistic things happening in that camp, and can't wait to see those guys get out there. Guys, it is my pleasure to welcome our second guest to the show. He was once on the Rock and Roll Union podcast. We're going to welcome him now to the Streamcast. Guys, here is Mike Lepond of Symphony X. Mike, thank you so much for being with us, man.
Good to see you again, CT. Hope you're well.
Thank you, man. You too. Just so much going on, man. And with the pandemic, and we're talking about recouping and getting back into the swing of things. What's the newest thing going on with Symphony X? Are you guys recording?
Well, I guess what the newest thing that's going to be happening with us is we have a U.S. tour scheduled for May, June of this year, and then we're looking to do some of the European festivals in late June, early July. I'm pretty sure the U.S. tour will definitely happen. With Europe, it's dicey, so we'll have to see what happens, but hopefully those shows will happen too.
I saw that you are you're currently helping the Mentalists record their new album. How's that going?
Yes, I actually finished my bass tracks about a week ago. Mentalists. I've had a little relationship with them. I recorded last year. I recorded their second record, and this year, just finishing up last week, I finished their third record. Really, really good German power metal band. When I listen to their music, I mean, it's definitely reminds you of like a Halloween kind of style.
Gotcha.
And so it's just rip roaring, fast power metal. Great vocals, great melodies, great songs, intelligently written. I would encourage all your fans to, check them out because they're a really, really good band. So I just finished that up. Earlier in the year, I also played bass on a record. I haven't checked on the status of when it's coming out. A band called Cauldron Born. Another really good heavy metal band, has some progressive elements. They kind of remind me of maybe King Diamond meets old Fates Warning.
Oh,
So,
nice.
So really, really good stuff out of the band out of the U.S. The main songwriter, I think he lives somewhere down south. So I've been keeping busy with other projects while I'm waiting for Symphony X to finally get on the road. We haven't. I haven't played on stage since March of 2020, which I'm sure that's no shock. So I'm looking forward to getting back on stage with Symphony X this spring. I just started relearning a bunch of the songs, trying to get myself, physically ready, because the songs are very hard to play and you really have to be in shape to play them. So, but it's fun doing it, and it gets me in a good mood, and I'm psyched up about it.
Any other news from the Silent Assassins camp?
Yeah, as far as the Silent Assassins go, I haven't really done anything with them. I guess I'm just kind of waiting out, wait until everything kind of gets back to normal, which it seems to be heading that way. We put out an album in 2020, and I haven't done anything since, but I do have a complete album written. I haven't recorded any of it yet. I think what I'm waiting for is I think I want to wait till Symphony X finishes their next record, which, by the way, Symphony X is writing for another record, and this will be our third album for Nuclear Blast. And, we've been signed to Nuclear Blast, I would say, for about 10 years now. And we had a 3-album deal, so we're working on the third album now. It's still in its beginning stages of writing. There's been no recording, but I think once that album is finished, which will probably be next year, then I'll go ahead and record another Silent Assassins record, which I'm looking forward to doing because it's the only time where I get to do it like everything. And it's a nightmare to do it. It's a total nightmare, writing, producing, and running everything. But at the end of the day, it's something I'm so proud of. And I'm so lucky that I have done a few records already.
Now, the label that you're on with Symphony X, what makes that label different than maybe the previous label that you guys were under?
Well, Nuclear Blast is, it's a major big label. I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest labels for heavy metal in the world. They're based out of Germany, and if anybody checks out their website, their roster is it's insane. You've got all your favorite bands are on that label. So, it has its good points where, you go on that label, it's instant prestige. They're not going to go under, you know what I mean? They're great. They'll promote you really, really well. But you also have to remember they have so many other bands, probably in the hundreds, so you might get a little lost in the shuffle here and there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than if you had a small label who really just went to bat for you, and just really promoted you and never stopped, a label like Nuclear Blast promotes you hard for a while, but then they got to get to the other bands that they have. And, so you only have a short window, which they do a great job. But so you got to take the good with the bad. And but we're excited to do our third record for them. We haven't released an album since 2015, Symphony X.
Wow.
So the fans, obviously that's the biggest question I always get. When are you guys gonna, come out with another record? And but we are working on it. We're working on the songs now. And one thing about Symphony X is, we take our time. Sometimes, it goes for years and years, but we make sure that the record is good with no filler, and it will be that on the next record. So, it feels good. I feel like things are slowly going to get back to normal now in this year. So I'm getting excited to play again. I'm sick of sitting home and eating all day.
So, I mean, one of the other things that I wanted to ask you, and I was reading some previous interviews that you had taken, and not to bring up a sore subject, but something that's been near and dear to my heart as well is Live Nation and how much they've been robbing us and what we need to start doing.
Yeah, Live Nation, they just seem to have a monopoly on touring. They took, once the pandemic happened, they took full advantage of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we had some tours that we had 2 tours that had to be postponed. One in 2020 and then one in 2021. They were U.S. tours. And, they were, I guess they were taking advantage of the bands, and they were saying, I don't know what their current status is right now, but, they were saying things like, oh, now, all the contracts you had with these venues are going to be null and void, and we're going to be taking over things. And they just tried to change a lot of things. We're going to charge you a $1,500 fee to wipe the venue down. Just nonsense. You know what I mean? And I haven't been keeping up on their nonsense, but I'm sure it's good. I'm sure I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it when I go on tour. But we need some competition to take them on. You know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely agree. If it's all right with you, Mike, my co-host got on a little bit late. Now I'm feeling well, but I'm going to bring her on right now.
Sure.
My co-host, Kat. Sorry about that. Kat, you with us? Oh, she's muted.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Hey, Kat, how are you?
Hey, what's up? What's up, Mike?
How you doing, Kat?
I've seen better days, but I was like, you know what? You got to push through in this business. You just got to push through.
There it is.
You have to, or you're going to just fall under the wheels.
It's been kind of going downhill, and I'm getting 2 root canals tomorrow. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to get in there the last 10 minutes. I'm going to do it.
Well, I feel for you, and just do it and get it over with. Especially with something like that.
Yeah, but very,
awesome.
very not cool to hear what you guys are going through, like live.
Live Nation,
money and Live Nation, all of that. I was backstage a little bit for your conversation, and it's just sad. It just makes me sad. bums me out.
Yeah. I think the problem is there's just not enough competition, to try to put them in their place a little bit. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's the bigger bands, like the big, like the Aerosmiths and the U2s, like they're just like, all right, well, we haven't had that for 2 years, so we're gonna do that. Forget anybody that's like, working for this for a living.
Recouping costs, yeah.
Yeah, recouping the cost for everything they put out there and give joy to people that don't need to put on a CD or stream it. That are your diehards.
These, the super big bands, I really think they probably don't care really all that much because it doesn't really affect their bottom line all that much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whatever Live Nation does, they do. They're still going to get paid incredible amounts of money, and I also think you could kind of put it in with like streaming services like Spotify.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed with that question.
A band like Iron Maiden, right? Super big band. Spotify don't pay much, but Iron Maiden is still going to make tons of money touring.
Yep.
And because I always say to myself, and when I talk to other people in bands or in the industry like you guys, I was like, how come the giant bands don't go after some of these people? Just think, what if like the Rolling Stones and Kiss or AC/DC team up and went after Spotify for ripping off bands? When you just don't see that.
Well, somebody just recently did that, right? Just went after Spotify.
Well, it was for a different reason. You had Neil Young pulling his
Neil Young,
but it was more a political reason than a financial reason.
It was because of the Joe Rogan thing, right?
Yeah, exactly right. But
I think these big bands, it don't affect them all that much. It's so but the mid-sized bands like Symphony X, it's rough on us. So but like you say, Kat, you got to push through and you got to fight through it.
Got him.
It's just the way it is.
I realized in 2016 when Guns N' Roses reunited, and I was buying tickets for that show, the service fee per ticket was like $26, and the band's not getting any of that money. It's going right in Live Nation's pocket. So bands like Symphony X could benefit from that service fee or benefit. What exactly are you doing to earn that $26 per ticket?
Spread the wealth.
Yeah. Symphony X is not seeing any of that. Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. I went to see Alice Cooper last week, and when I bought tickets, the service fees were just. I was like, it's almost like it's like half the price of just the ticket price, and then you add another like 50%. It's like insane, and it makes you not want to go to some of these shows.
And they're also in charge of, and I've realized this just recently, they're also in charge of the parking. They're taking all the parking fees. They're taking.
No, they're not.
When I went to park, I went and saw Ghost and Volbeat on Saturday night. Your parking ticket now says Live Nation.
Yeah.
So they're taking the parking. I've heard that they're taking a percentage of the merchandise sale, and it's just obscure, man. It's
horrible.
Yeah. They're just ripping us off, and we have no one. We have really no one to represent us. They just rip us off, and as of right now, Symphony X can't sue Live Nation. We couldn't afford that.
Right. You could. It would just be a small outfight.
Right.
I don't know if, honestly, Mike, I don't know if any bands would have to combine.
Yes.
could take down the mega millions, possibly billions that Live Nation has.
Yeah. And it would have to be massive bands that could afford the lawyers to go to court, you know.
It would be like a class action almost.
Yeah. So, you know, until that happens, you know, we just have to take it on the chin. And, you know, it sucks because we love music. We love playing. And
the fans are missing out too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking away what you love, but they're taking away what we love as well. Double edge. It's horrible.
They're making it so expensive just to see a concert.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's that now. It's like you have to pick and choose who you want to go see. You know, you can't go. You know, you just can't go to a club for $10 and
that's right.
You know, so those days are over. So now you got to pick and choose, and that stinks. It really does. So,
now, as far as venues to play, Mike, do you prefer like bigger arena style, or do you like the smaller intimate clubs? What is your favorite kind of venue to play?
You know, I've been blessed enough to do both. I've played the smallest dive bars to actual arenas, opening up for some other bands. And you know, as much fun as it is to be in a big arena, it's very impersonal because, like, even the people in the front are pretty far back if you're on like an arena, you know?
Right.
And, you really can't see all that much. I think it's much cooler when you're in a small club and the crowd is right in your face and you really grab the energy off them. And, you know, you see their passion, and that's really, those gigs really get the adrenaline going, you know. They may not look as cool, you know, on a video screen, but I'll tell you, those are the ones you remember the most, you know, where the fans are just right there. You're all sweating and you're just playing your hearts out, and they're giving back everything you give to them, you know. So I would have to say the smaller venues.
Do you have any favorite venues that you love going back to?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, there's one place, well, I mean, I guess one venue that comes to mind is, it's a venue in Switzerland. It's called Z7. And it's like perfect if you're a touring band. They have beautiful showers. They have delicious catering all day. They have laundry. Like, if you're a band, it's an oasis, you know. And
that's awesome.
And it's a nice sage, and the sound is good, and the people are good, and that's definitely, you know, there's a bunch, but I guess that's the first one that comes into my head. And of course, you know, I love New Jersey's own Dingbats because it's,
oh yeah.
Even though I do have to admit, I did move to Florida in October, so I'm no longer in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. You know, I was going to ask you that because we're both Jersey people ourselves, me and Kat.
Well, not originally.
No.
I'm from the South. I was chucked into New Jersey.
Okay. I don't hear a Southern accent anymore.
It's there. It's there when I want to put it on, honey.
Probably when you get angry too, am I right?
When I get angry, yeah. Or when I say accent, it's accent.
You can't piss off a Southern woman without hearing the accent.
The accent.
Yeah.
So what made you want to move to Florida? Was it the warm weather, Mike?
You know, I got to be honest with you. You know, I've always dreamed one day of moving to the South. And what happened was basically my wife got hired by Disney World.
Oh, awesome.
So it was like the perfect opportunity to go down there. And so I got here in October. the warm weather just keeps me in a good frame of mind.
Oh, yeah.
Good attitude, keeps me in a good attitude. And today it was like 72 degrees, you know. And it's like, oh my God, and when I talk to everybody in Jersey, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think it was 16 degrees this morning.
Oh, dude. But you know what? I still miss, the Jersey vibe. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's got a vibe to it, and and I miss my friends and my mom. And
Aw, hi, Mom.
but I do, I love it here. I'm in a town called St. Cloud in Central Florida, and
Very pretty.
very, 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 very nice. So that's cool. So now when I rehearse with Symphony X, I have to drive to New Jersey.
Wow.
You,
Now, is there a flourishing Floridian music scene?
I'm just discovering it, so I'm just starting to talk to musicians. In Central Florida, there doesn't seem to be a lot of rock clubs so far. But I've been talking to some musicians, and I'm starting to get to know the local rockers here. And so, I mean, that's cool, to get thrown into a new scene, the Jersey scene, I know it inside and out. So it's cool to discover, a different rock scene, metal scene. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
cool. Very cool.
Man. So, when do you guys expect to kick off the Symphony X North American tour?
I believe the first show is in New York City at Irving Plaza on May 10th.
Okay.
So most likely I'll start driving up to Jersey maybe last week of April, and then we'll start rehearsing, and then jump on the tour, and then the final show will be at the Wellmont in Montclair.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was going to ask if there was any plans for Philadelphia or Jersey.
Yeah. So we'll be at the Wellmont. The only Pennsylvania show is I'm not sure the exact town the Keswick Theater is in.
Yes, the Keswick Theater. It's Keswick Theater is around Hopewell, Lambertville, Keswick Theater.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. So yeah, those are I guess the most. Yeah, that and the New York shows are the most local.
Ardmore, I think it's in. I think the actual town of Keswick's in Ardmore.
I don't think it's in Ardmore. I checked that. Hold on.
Right.
I'm like, you put me on the spot there, Mike. Come on.
I played it once. We opened up for in 2004. We opened up for Queensryche there once.
Nice.
Yeah, the Keswick Theater was it's mostly a stage play theater. A lot of stage plays and musicals.
Glenside, there it is. I just looked it up. Glenside, PA.
All right, so we were all wrong.
So how far is that from Philly?
Oh, I want to say maybe a half an hour. It's not far from Philly at all.
Oh, so basically it's that area. Okay.
It would be basically a Philadelphia show at that point.
I gotcha.
It's that sweet spot where if you live anywhere in central southern Jersey, you can kind of hit that in a half hour.
I think it's kind of like Delco area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
do you guys have anybody on tour with you?
Yeah, there's going to be a band touring with us. I think they're from England. They're called Haken, Haken, and they're a progressive metal band.
Nice.
And they sound good. I've never seen them live before. They sound real good. And then so once that tour ends on June 12th, 2 weeks later, hopefully we'll do some European festivals. Hopefully they won't get postponed. And then And then after we do the festivals, which will end around July 4th, then the last touring event we'll have for 2022 will be a South American tour, which will be the last week of July, first week of August.
Nice.
So, so hopefully all those things will happen. And, we'll be back on our feet once again. And,
where in South America?
Yeah, it's about a week's worth of touring. There's a couple of Brazilian shows. There's there's one Central America. There's two Mexican shows. There's one Chilean show. Trying to think. Let's see, where else did they schedule? Off the top of my head, I can't remember now, but
that's cool enough. You hit the bases. You're good.
Yeah. I mean, South America, the fans in South America it's something incredible to watch.
Yeah.
They are so passionate. It's the only way I could describe it is like a religion. They, like, when you're coming to town, that's an event. Like here they'll be like, we're like, oh, okay, well, this band's coming tomorrow, this band's coming next week. It's not a big deal. But down there, it's a huge deal. If you're ever on YouTube and you look up a Symphony X show in Chile in 2019, you'll hear the crowd so loud. They were so loud that they were singing not only the vocals, but they were singing the guitar riffs.
Wow.
They were louder than the band. It was unbelievable.
Like a Queen Tokyo moment. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's amazing.
They also say, Mike, let me ask you this. They also say that the European festivals are insane. Like, and that's where you guys are heading as well. Like, what would you say the difference between like the South American shows and the European shows would be?
Oh yeah, I mean Europe. Europe is really interesting. The first time I ever went to Europe to play was in the year 2000. So if you remember, over here, from like 1990 to 2000, heavy metal was kind of dead in the United States.
Right.
It was all like grunge and alternative and all this stuff. But I had no idea that heavy metal was still like going strong in Europe. So when I got there with Symphony X in the year 2000 and we played our first festival, I looked around. First of all, the festival, you're looking at like 50,000 people, and they're dressing like you feel like if you're in 1985. You know what I mean? Like they all had the leather, the studs, the jackets, the girls had, the spandex and the whole bit. And it was amazing. And that's how I got introduced to a lot of newer bands that I had not heard of before, like Blind Guardian and bands like that. So Europe, heavy metal is super strong in Europe. I'd say Germany is the heavy metal capital of the world. And they love heavy metal just like the South Americans. I just think the South Americans they just have so much passion. It's like nuts. And Europe's interesting too, because you'll go to some countries like Italy and Spain, and they'll have tremendous passion. And then you'll go to like Germany, and the Germans love the music, but they're a little bit more laid back.
Gotcha.
So the cultures are a little different. That's always an interesting thing to say. But heavy metal it's still huge all over the world. Just like it was here in the 80s. Same thing.
And that was the one thing that I took away from. I just said I went to Ghost and Volbeat on Saturday night. Is both bands were from elsewhere, like Denmark and Sweden, and the big iconic like heavy metal bands of this day all seem to come from elsewhere. Like it's amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, like the American style heavy metal these days doesn't really do anything for me. You know, it's like I don't know, it's just like these like tatted up tough guys screaming, rapping. I don't know what they're doing, you know? It's like they're in a gang or something. You know, but it's like, you know, but it's like the European bands, they still play heavy metal with the grace and the style and the class like it was here in the 80s. You know what I mean?
As it should be. Like, should have never reformatted. Should have never tried to change something that didn't need to be changed ever.
Yeah.
I mean, put your own spin on it, put your own take on it, but to completely destroy the underlying tones just bother.
Well, one thing I could never get into with metal, and I love metal music. One thing I could never get into was like the Cookie Monster vocal, like the I can't get into it. Like I love the vocal, I love the metal vocalists that have that range, that like the screaming guitar like adds to it, like it highlights it. You really, I mean, the musicianship in those bands are like phenomenal, but I can never get into that style.
You know, when I listen to bands like that, I last about maybe 3 songs, and then I just kind of tune out because you're not giving me anything. You know what I mean? You're not, you know, you're not giving me anything I could maybe sing back to myself later.
It's just of the next song.
It's just like anger.
Yeah.
And you can have anger, but you know, sing something. You know, I mean, you could sing something really dark, but you sing it. You know, I totally agree with you 100%. And
Mike, what you said with the anger, I think you hit it on the head, because like my favorite metal is about like history or giant friggin' monsters, spiders, that kind of shit. Like that's what got me into metal. Like not hating my father was not like what got me to hate metal, like metal. Like
a lot of these American bands it's very like introspective, you know, your inner hate and all this stuff. And like if you listen to a lot of bands like from Europe, I mean, they sing about what you're talking, they'll sing about history, mythology, they'll sing about, you know, things that are at least fun, you know what I mean? Or
not so dark, not so deep, but still have a message, still are intriguing. You can slip some stuff in there without, you know, you even realizing it's a metaphor, you know, instead of just like, I hate my father. Cookie Monster lyrics.
Right. Yeah.
I know you're a history guy, Mike. Any of the new material for Symphony X or your solo band, any new history that you're diving into right now? Anything kind of striking your interest? And do you go through like phases as far as history is concerned? What you kind of like buy it, like watch in one time?
As far as the next Symphony X record, no lyrics have been written yet, so we got nothing going on. But I have written all the lyrics for the next Silent Assassins. So if I'm thinking back of some of the things I wrote about, I wrote about the Salem witch trials. You know, it's things that I just happen to come across. Like I'll put on a TV station that has like a history documentary channel, and if I happen to see something, that will, you know, get me going. So Yeah, the Salem witch trials is definitely one. I was always visiting Sleepy Hollow, so I wrote something on that.
Very.
Henry.
Oh, what's that? Is
So,
that me? That feedback?
no, I think that's me. That might be me.
I want to make sure that's not me.
Yeah,
These headphones
yeah.
have been good to me. I'm sorry for the cigarette CT. I don't want to.
Oh no, you're fine.
I don't want to be any horrible, a little more looking than I am on camera right now.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh, thanks.
I teach history, so believe me, I'm
Wow.
like
Wow.
that's my day job.
That's amazing, bro. Oh, that's
So-
great. So, yeah. So with the silent assassin stuff, I guess the reason I write about history and mythology and literature is because, you know, I don't write about anything introspective. Like I don't think about that. Like I don't think about my life. I don't even care. You know, and I'm not the type of guy to write. You know, hey, it's Saturday night. The chicks are out. You know, let's meet the chick. You know, I'm not going to write about that. That does nothing for me. But when you're talking about when you're writing about epic stuff like Caesar crossing the Rubicon, or
Yeah.
you know, I mean stuff. I see that. I'm like, what was that like? You know what I mean? That moment is so epic. You know, there's these times in history that to me goes perfect with heavy metal music.
Oh
I've
yeah.
literally never ever thought about it from that perspective. How true that is.
Or even like
You just kind of like, phew, like wow, like never thought about it from that angle. It's very interesting.
Or even if you think about mythology, you know, these something like maybe the Trojan War, you know. I mean, and if you're writing heavy metal music, you could almost. Well, that's what I've been doing recently. I used to always just write a musical piece first and then write lyrics later. But now what I do is I'll write the lyrics first. So that gives me almost like say like a storyboard movie to put the music to. So if there's a part in the lyrics where it gets really sad, like someone dies or something, I can say, okay, now I'm going to tailor the music to that. I'm going to write something really sad and make it follow the lyrics. And I find that it makes the song just come out so much better and not stereotypical in any way.
It's way more like a soundtrack to a movie.
Exactly.
To a scene in a movie. That you know, the music makes it everything. Makes whatever they're doing in the movie or whatever they're saying. That you don't even realize how much that music hits you in the background.
Because that's what these you know, if someone's going to score a movie, they're basically given the movie and they're saying, okay, write for this part, write for that. So basically, I just do that with an electric guitar. And for me, it's like, I think the songs come out much cooler because it takes you on a journey, you know?
Oh yeah.
So
I love that. It's probably one of the coolest things I've heard it explained. Very cool.
And you know, so I'm looking forward to, you know, I'll probably start recording that, you know, maybe next year sometime, you know.
Gotcha.
I just want to wait till Symphony X is done, you know, doing everything they got to do, and then I'll move on to that. And in the meantime, you know, I'm always doing these side projects for bands, and you know, that keeps my fingers, you know, keep my chops up and all that. So that's cool.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being with us tonight, man. It has been an honor and a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, great. Thank you guys for having me on, and let's do it again sometime, and hopefully I'll have some more exciting news than I did tonight.
That was all exciting. And I apologize for the late arrival and the shaky camera. But pushing through.
Mike, have a great rest of your week, my friend.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.
See ya.
Thank you.
So, guys, that was Mike Lepond from Symphony X. Man,
He's so
such a
cool.
guy, man.
He's so cool.
And, like, really, really down to earth. Really, like, both guys tonight. I don't know if you were able to check out any of the first interview. George Pond was great. Disciples of Verity. Really looking forward to seeing them. They're going to be announcing big things soon. If you guys have not checked out the band, I didn't announce it in the beginning of the show. Tonal Crush, my boys, Tonal Crush. They are David Rosenfeld's our sponsor. They're in the studio this evening putting the finishing touches on that album. So big shout out to Tonal Crush. But how you feeling, Kat? We recouping?
I'm getting there. I'm getting a double root canal tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, and then
I had that, and it's
just had one done, and now need another 2 done. And thank you, Family Genetics. I do take care of my teeth. I would like everybody to know that. It's unfortunate, and just I think like the stress of it all kind of like I made everything worse. Like so, but I was like I gotta jump on. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
Well, thank you for jumping on.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Beginning of the show, I gave you a shout out, but I'm glad you were able to get on and speak with Mike a little bit. Really cool guy.
Yeah.
And guys, make sure you're checking out Symphony X. Make sure you're checking out Disciples of Verity. And any final words, Kat?
Just wish me luck on root canal tomorrow.
Yes, much luck. I'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
And guys, make sure you're getting out, checking out some live rock and roll, wherever that may be. Yeah. And until next time, don't just leave it better. Have a good week, guys.
Bye.